In this video, we are going to talk about what is a method, how it is different from a function, and using methods on primitive values like number and string. So here in this example, you can see we have a function named add which accepts two parameters a and b and returns the sum of a and b. Here we have an object named operations which contains a key named sum and the value points to add function. So let's try to understand the difference between a function and a method by executing them. If we execute the function add and pass two values 2 and 3 and press enter, we'll get the output 5. So here we are executing the function add. Now let's try to execute the function, but this time we will be using operations object to execute it. So here operations is an object which contains a property named sum, which points to the function add. So this will also accept two parameters a and b, so we'll pass 2 and 3. When we press enter, we'll get exact same output as we saw last time. As we can see it here, there is no difference in the result. In both the cases, we are getting 5 as an output. But the difference is in the way we are accessing the function. Here we are accessing it directly from the function, but here we are accessing it through an object. So when you access a function using an object, you have some advantages. And that is, the function gets access to the whole object itself, and that can be used for some purposes. We will get into a lot more details on this topic when we come to object-oriented programming with JavaScript. But right now, that is all we need to understand. A function inside an object is known as method. So here, when we access operations.sum, we are accessing a method, but when we are just saying add, we are accessing a function. So that is the difference between a method and a function. Now let's just go ahead and try to use methods on primitive values like number and string. And for that, I'll go ahead and define two variables, that is message and another variable called total. So here we have two variables, message and total. Message has a value of string that is hello world, and total is a number that is 100.1234567. Now let's try to see how we can use methods on this primitive value. So first I'll show you how to use it, and then I'll show you how it actually works internally in the system. So here, if we refresh the page and access the variable message, even if message is a primitive value, and we know the difference between a primitive and non-primitive is primitive can hold only one value at a time, but non-primitive like an object can hold multiple values at the same time. So the value of message is hello world. I want to convert this text that is hello world into uppercase because that is a very generic use case. So to do that, what we can do, we can add a dot after message even if message is a primitive data type. And as soon as you do that, you get access to a lot of methods and properties. Let's just try to access a method called toUpperCase. And we know method is a function inside an object. To execute it, we'll do it like this and press enter. As soon as you do that, that message got converted into uppercase hello world. And if you want to store that, it's a very general use case. So we can just say uppercase message is equal to this. And when we access the value uppercase message, we'll get access to hello world in uppercase. Let's try to do the similar thing on total variable. It contains a value 100.1234567. What if I want to fix the number of digits from dot? So to do that, we can just say total.toFixed. toFixed is a method that you can find it on number data type, and you can just say fix it to 2, and what it will do, it will convert that value into a string and fix it to only 2 digits after decimal value. So these are different ways of using methods on primitive values like string and number. You must be thinking, how is it working, because these are primitive values and it should not be used like an object. And you are 100% correct. Let's try to understand how it actually works. When the JavaScript language was created, they knew that there are differences between primitive and non-primitive values. But there are a lot of general use cases on primitive values like converting a text into uppercase or getting access to only first word or last word. These are the general use cases that you always want to perform on string kind of values. But to do that, you will have to write a lot of code. So they wanted to help there. And that is why they wanted to give access to some of the method you can perform on string values. So that's why what they did is as soon as you type message, it's in a string value. But as soon as you add a dot operator after the string value, there is a wrapper that get created. Wrapper means access to a huge bag that contains a lot of methods like this. And it only happens when you add a dot operator after the string. So you get access to that bag and you can access that bag and perform whatever kind of method you want on the string and number and other primitive values. So say for example, I have a value message that is hello world. I want to split it. So split is a method that you get access to as soon as you add a dot after the string value. I want to split message with something like E. So you can pass, I want to split it with the letter E. You press enter and what will happen? It will split the string with the value E. So now you're getting H and hello world or something. You can also split it within space. So for that, I can just pass in space and you can see we are getting two words, hello and world. So here we have learned a lot of different things. What is a method? What is the difference between a method and a function? And how you can use methods like toUpperCase, split, toFixed on number and string data types. As soon as you add a dot, there is a wrapper that gets created around the primitive values that gives them access to the methods of specific data types, like toUpperCase and split to string and toFixed to numbers. We'll learn about a lot more other method in details in coming videos.